traveled to New York and Philadelphia, I also later did all the research where the jazz concerts were in New York and the jazz clubs at the time. Birdland was still on Broadway and 52nd Street, and I insisted that my mother take me to Birdland. So she was, well, Birdland was not exactly what her interests were in broadening my cultural experiences. But I remember in going to Birdland and standing in front of Birdland, there was Dizzy Gillespie, who was, the jazz musician who was playing there at the time. It just so happened that he and a couple of his band members were hanging out in front of Birdland, and we walked up. The reason for that was that there was a bar next door to Birdland where the musicians would go between sets to either hang out or have drinks, which were cheaper than being in the actual Birdland club. So I remember that Dizzy greeted us, and I was a teenager, but my mom was not, and she was pretty sharp and very beautiful, and he talked to her, and she was being her proper school teacher self, and he was being his bebop cool cat self, and I remember her asking him where he was from, and he said Cheraw, North Carolina, and I have always remembered that. And every time I would read a bio of Diz, they would always mention he grew up in Cheraw. And it took me right back to that moment, standing on Broadway, where he told my mom that. And, of course, we couldn't go into the club because I was about 16 at the time. Even though he invited us in, I think my mom said something like, "Oh, no, we are not going." And that was one of those New York travel experiences, Mom, that I'll never forget.
Pantomime quiz time! Yes, friends, it's Mike's...
I remember going to also a quiz show with my mom, and that was one of the things that she really loved to do. This is back in the 50s, and in the 50s where, there were a number of television quiz shows. All I remember is that they were always giving away washing machines. She always wanted to have one of those fancy washing machines. What remains among the most significant memories of my experiences with my mom, Josephine Olivia Brown Dutton, focuses on our going on trips with her from my early childhood through my teen years. Everything was about celebration in the home, family picnics or celebration of whatever types. I remember watching